All right, welcome fifth grade to the first lesson in our first chapter. It's called Place Value Through the Millions. Our two major objectives today are going to be to review and make sure we understand the three different ways in which we can write numbers, and also review place value and what place value means in terms of digits. So hopefully by the time we get through this lesson, you'll be able to kind of answer those two questions. Please make sure you have a pencil. Make sure you have your math journal ready to go. There are going to be some stopping points along the way that you'll need to do some work. Thanks. Let's get started. All right, guys, so I want you to take a quick look at the question at the top of the board. So it says, how can we write numbers? On the first slide, I mentioned that you guys have learned and discussed the three different ways that we can write numbers. And so I gave an example here on this board of each of the three different ways that we can write numbers. I want you to see if you can reach back into your memory and come up with the name we used to discuss or to label each of these different ways in which we can write numbers. So I want you to pause the video and see if you can jot those down in your journal. Hopefully you took a second to pause the video and try to retrieve those names from your memory. The three different ways in which we've discussed that you can write numbers is standard form, which is the very top example. The number is 2,307, written the way we typically or normally write numbers. The second variation is expanded form, where we look at the value of each of the numbers based on where they are sitting within our place value system. So look at the 2. A 2 in the thousands place we know actually equals, its value is 2,000. A 3 in the hundreds place means its value is actually 3 hundreds or 300. There's nothing in the tens place in this example, but there are 7 ones in the ones place, so it is a value of 7. So expanded form is when we look at each of the digits based on where they sit in our place value system, and we write them as a long addition equation. If we added 2,307 back together, we would get 2,307, which is the same number we wrote in standard form. The third way in which we can write numbers is what we call word form. So where you take basically the way you say a word and you write it out. So 2,307. So these three ways in which we write numbers are going to be pretty important as we move forward in our place value chapter. What I'd like you guys to take a quick couple minutes to do is to look at the three numbers below. 6,456, 54,679, and 5,045. And I want you to, in your journals, write down each of those three numbers in both standard, expanded, and word form. When we get back together as a class tomorrow, I'll be sort of taking a look in your journals to see how you were able to complete. So I wanted to take a quick second, friends, and review a place value chart, which you should have seen before. If you remember, in the system that we use in terms of math and numbers and how numbers actually have meaning is a place value chart that looks quite like this. So we know the ones, tens, and hundreds places. Last year you, I believe, learned the thousands, the 10,000s, and the 100,000s. This year we're going to be talking about place value all the way up to the millions. I guess my hint to you is when you look at place value individually as periods, the ones period, the thousands period, and the millions period, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of really break down what does it mean if I have a 1 in the ones period, or in the ones place, what does it mean if I have a 1 in the thousands place, and so on. So I hope this is a quick refresher of place value, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper in terms of what value digits have based on where they sit in a number. So as you can see, guys, I've written a number into our place value chart. So I've written the number 3,217. If you think back to expanded form is kind of the hint about how our number system works. When we take expanded form, we look at a digit an actual number where it sits in the place value chart and determine what is its actual value. What does it actually equal? So if I look at it just, very individually and break it down, I have a 3 in the thousands place. Well, I know that that means I have 3 thousands or 3,000. 3 individual thousands equals 3,000. Same thing if you break it down by the hundreds place. What a 2 in the hundreds place is telling me is I have a value of 200. When I have a 1 in the tens place, 110, that means I have just 10. And when I have a 7 in the ones place, I have just 7 individual ones. So if you remember, guys, our place value system just gives digits or individual numbers a certain value or worth based on where they sit in a place value chart. All right, friends, we've done a quick review of the 3 different ways in which we can write numbers. And we've also done a quick review of our place value system, and we've specifically looked at a place value chart and how it helps us sort of see digits in their various places in the ones, tens, hundred, thousands. I'm going to leave you with a pretty open-ended question. I want you to jot down any ideas you can come up with, any thoughts that you have, any questions that you have, and we're going to use this to kind of guide the opening of our class tomorrow. As you can see, I've written the number 3,333 in our place value chart. So basically, I've used the digit 3 4 different times. The question I want to ask you is, does a 3 in the thousands place have the same value as a 3 in the hundreds place? I could ask the same question and say, does a 3 in the hundreds place have the same value or worth as a 3 in the tens place? So I want you to think about that. Think about writing down what their individual values are. Think about how much bigger one value is than another value. But I want you to try to think through, does the digit 3 have the same value in every place that it sits in, or does it have a different value or a different worth, for example? So I want you to think on that. I want you to jot down any thoughts and ideas that you have. Ask your parents, talk to your siblings, see if you can come up with, does the digit 3 have the same value in the thousands place that it does in the hundreds place? Write down any questions you have, and we're going to start our class tomorrow kind of talking through that. I hope this was a quick refresher of some of the place value concepts that you've discussed in the past. I look forward to getting down to work tomorrow.